Sail with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Shh, look, listen, feel. Realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
Did you know that a strategy has been developed to help improve the region's education and human resources?
You didn't? Well, the HID strategy, as it is called, will guide CARICOM in how it delivers quality education and training to the people of the region.
The strategy has been crafted by a group of experts called the HRD Commission.
Consultations have been done across the region to get your input.
Do you know that none of us will be left behind?
The HRD strategy is important to all of us, students, parents, and employers. It will prepare the region, especially the youth, for the 21st century economy and society.
The HRD strategy, unlocking Caribbean human potential.
A businesswoman accused of fraud breaks out of prison in Trinidad and Tobago. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for today. That's Tuesday, November 28. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. Customs and immigration officials in Trinidad and Tobago are on the lookout for fraud-accused businesswoman Vicky Boudram, who escaped from the women's section of the Golden Grove prison in the country's capital. And authorities fear she may be trying to flee the Twin Island Republic. No details about how the escape occurred were provided by the authorities. But a statement released by the Ministry of National Security on Tuesday said the businesswoman, who is awaiting trial on more than 100 fraud charges, is believed to be making efforts to get out of the country. As a result, all points of entry, including ports and the airports, are being closely monitored by law enforcement. Boudram was first charged back in 2012 with 109 counts of fraud stemming from failed cruise ship packages offered by a company she operated called Travel Tours and Ship Ahoy Cruises Limited. She allegedly defrauded several people by taking money from them for cruises that never materialized. Then late last year, she was slapped with 39 more charges. Boudram's estranged husband, Ravi Arjun Singh, was also charged with collecting millions of dollars from 109 people through fraudulent means and transferring the money to himself and the company in 2010. Still in Trinidad and Tobago, a government senator has resigned and a so-called fake oil controversy involving supplies to the state-owned oil company Petrotrin. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has accepted the resignation of Alison Bakash and thanked her for her service and contribution to the Senate since her appointment in September 2015. Her decision to step down follows a forensic audit by the Canada-based Kroll Consulting Canada company, which found that Petrotrin paid A&V Oil and Gas for oil produced between January and June, which it did not receive. Bakash is the daughter of the chief executive of A&V Oil and Gas. Prime Minister Rowley has already indicated that the matter will be dealt with by the Petrotrin Board of Directors and the Energy Ministry. It was in September that Petrotrin announced it had launched an investigation into reports of inconsistencies in the volumes reported from its exploration and production fields. There could be more problems between the Jamaica government and public sector nurses who took industrial action last week. That's because the Ministry of Finance has not yet indicated when wage negotiations will resume, although that was one of the requirements of a back-to-work agreement reached last Friday between the Jamaica Nurses Association and the ministry following a sick-out by scores of nurses. The nurses have rejected the government's 6% wage offer 2 years, and they offer over 2 years and a freeze on allowances, and are upset that the 2017-2019 wage negotiations have stalled. The Police Federation also says it has not heard from government when their wage negotiations will resume. A 14-day deadline for the Finance Ministry to respond expires this week, and teachers have also rejected government's wage offer. But Finance Minister Audley Shaw has pledged with public sector unions to hold strain.
We have to ask everyone, including our public sector workers, to take account of the fact that we are one country, that we have had fundamental structural problems over the years, that we are working on them together, that it has actually required a certain amount of sacrifice from everyone, and including our public sector workers.
Shaw said the government would also be addressing other aspects of the public sector and not just wages.
To look at opportunities for training and retraining on the job. We have to look at areas of better welfare for our workers. So there are a range of things that we'll be looking at. I have had discussions with the police. I intend to meet with the nurses and with teachers to see how we can do a lot of other things other than just the issue of the percentage salary increase.
Staying in Jamaica, the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, has fired back at Prime Minister Andrew Holness, who accused the entity of sometimes being overzealous. INDECOM Commissioner Terence Williams says Holness is way off target. He was speaking at a press conference on Monday, a day after Holness leveled the charge and said INDECOM was making police fearful of doing their job. Williams says it's not INDECOM, but the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF, that has to take responsibility for that.
We do not share the view that INDECOM has at any time gone too far. INDECOM was formed by an act of parliament to combat impunity and injustice in the security forces through independent scrutiny. There have been more than a handful of court challenges to INDECOM's stewardship under the act. INDECOM has so far been successful in all of these challenges.
Mr. Williams adds that any neglect of duties by police rests solely with the JCF.
If it is true that members of the JCF are neglecting their duties because they are displeased with the accountability mandated by our Constitution and by our Parliament, the problem is not with the accountability, but with the culture of the force and its leadership.
Mr. Williams says the Jamaica Defense Force and the correctional services have never complained of Indicom, despite also being scrutinized by the agency. He adds that between January to September of this year, 697 cases have been investigated by the agency, with charges being recommended in only 12 cases, less than 2%. Mr. Williams says he welcomes dialogue with the Prime Minister, where any misunderstanding about the agency can be cleared up.
And that report was from Jeline Pearson of TVJ News. An historic push in legal circles in the Caribbean. A new agency is bringing state-of-the-art technology to justice systems across the region. The agency, Advanced Performance Exponents, or APEX, has been set up by the Caribbean Court of Justice. APEX and its suite of court software were introduced to the region's legal community at its first ever convention in the Bahamas. The idea is to use Caribbean software to speed up the delivery of justice in Caribbean courts, which have for years been slowed down by antiquated filing and court reporting systems and expensive software from outside the region. APEX is the brainchild of CCJ President Sir Dennis Byron.
APEX is an agency established to promote and advance the standards of efficiency of service related to the court and judicial administration processes in the Caribbean community. It is registered in Barbados as a not-for-profit company. The foundation member is the Caribbean Court of Justice. Now, we were satisfied that the Caribbean has the creativity, intellectual capacity, and competences necessary to support and develop the justice sector. And additionally, we were also convinced that the sustainability of programs for justice improvement requires the involvement and the buy-in of all its sectors.
Still to come in Caribbean Newsline, a UN tourism official says all-inclusive resorts in the region are similar to modern-day plantations. We'll tell you who said that and why after the break. Stay with us.
Come, sail with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Shh, look, listen, feel. Realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
Did you know that a strategy has been developed to help improve the region's education and human resources?
You didn't? Well, the HID strategy, as it is called, will guide CARICOM in how it delivers quality education and training to the people of the region.
The strategy has been crafted by a group of experts called the HRD Commission.
Consultations have been done across the region to get your input.
Do you know that none of us will be left behind?
The HRD strategy is important to all of us, students, parents, and employers. It will prepare the region, especially the youth, for the 21st century economy and society.
The HRD strategy, unlocking Caribbean human potential.
Secretary General of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, Taleb Rifai, said the Caribbean cannot continue to pursue all-inclusive resort development if tourism is to play an integral role in the development of the region. Addressing the second day of the three-day UNWTO Global Conference of Sustainable Growth in Jamaica on Tuesday, he said all-inclusive resorts had become similar to modern-day plantations. He insisted that the region cannot continue to build five-star hotels in three-star communities. Instead, he said, the walls between host communities and visitors must be lowered. The UNWTO Secretary General said, and I quote, "We cannot continue to promote modern-day plantations in our countries called exclusive resorts. That is not the model we are looking for at all." End of quote. RIFI also called for greater partnerships with the private sector in tourism. The Guyana government says the economy is expected to grow by 2.9% this year after experiencing both positive and negative growth in 2016. Finance Minister Winston Jordan delivered the $267.1 billion budget statement to Parliament on Monday and revised the projected growth rate downward from the 3.2% in his mid-year report because of continued weak performance in mining, quarrying, sugar and other sectors. During his presentation, the finance minister also announced an amnesty for delinquent corporate and individual taxpayers. The amnesty will take effect from January 1st to September 30th next year. Police in Guyana are carrying out investigations after a prisoner called 911 with a threat to kill President David Granger. Director of Prisons Gladwin Samuels said the call was made from the Lusignan prison last Thursday. Travis Chase of HGP Nightly News reports.
The director confirmed that he was telephoned about the call, and upon checking with senior ranks at Lusignan, they found out that the call was made from a prisoner, Ali Mali. Ali was questioned by prison officials and he admitted to having made the call. Ali was convicted for assault. Ali allegedly told the 911 operator that, quote, "When I leave prison, I am going to kill the president," unquote.
Yes, we are investigating such a call. We have made what I would term significant progress in that investigation. I will not disclose more details on that at this point.
A senior police rank again confirmed that any threat against the life of the president must be taken and investigated thoroughly.
Staying on the prison front in Guyana, it appears that prisoners on remand are outnumbering convicted inmates, and an international consultant says the judiciary and the Department of Public Prosecution must work together to fix the growing problem. We get more in this HGP Nightly News report.
Must be done about the high prison population, especially those on remand. That's essentially the key recommendation made by Senior Counsel Peter Pursglove, who has been hired by government and the Inter-American Development Bank's IDB Citizens Security Strengthening Program. Mr. Pursglove, while presenting his draft final report on alternatives to pretrial detainees, has highlighted the need to fix Guyana's lax prison database.
And we found that we had prisoners with different names, but the same facts. We had different dates of birth from the judiciary and from the prison service. We had different sentences, different times that they were committed. So overall, we found that our statistics could not be accurately used because they were unreliable. And this is something in the report that I mentioned, that there has to be a proper prisoner database.
Mr. Pursglove hinted at an urgent need to review the Psychotropic Substances Act, saying that too many non-violent drug offenders continue to clog up the prisons.
Drug offences are, on remand, these are a large proportion of those held on remand. Many of them needn't be there.
Alternatives to incarceration programs are one answer, asserts the consultant. He pointed out that the administration of justice in interior locations is at a catastrophic stage.
The interior of Guyana, you still have problems in administering justice in the interior. That you still have this bringing people into Georgetown and holding them in prison, then taking them back to the interior to have their committals, their trials. And magistrates sitting every 3 months in the interior, which means that if a case is adjourned, it's not heard again for 3 months, which means that if you are from the interior, held on remand in Georgetown, you could be there for years and years.
To address the issue of overcrowded prisons, Mr. Pursglove recommends better collaboration.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, a former West Indies batsman isn't hopeful the Caribbean side can break its losing streak against New Zealand. Stay with us. Sport is next.
with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Shh. Look, listen, feel. Realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
Did you know that a strategy has been developed to help improve the region's education and human resources?
You didn't? Well, the HID strategy, as it is called, will guide CARICOM in how it delivers quality education and training to the people of the region.
The strategy has been crafted by a group of experts called the HRD Commission.
Consultations have been done across the region to get your input.
Do you know that none of us will be left behind?
The HRD strategy is important to all of us, students, parents, and employers. It will prepare the region, especially the youth, for the 21st century economy and society.
The HRD strategy, unlocking Caribbean human potential.
A former West Indies batsman thinks the Caribbean side may not be able to break its 22-year losing streak against New Zealand. Trinidadian Brian Davis says the Kiwis will have everything going for them on home soil when the West Indies test tour kicks off on Friday. But he did single out some Windies players who may be able to rise to the occasion.
West Indies have made some improvements of late at test level, with a couple of 2-1 losses to Pakistan, followed by another 2-1 loss to England and a 1-0 win against Zimbabwe. As such, former Windies batsman Brian Davis believes the Caribbean side has the potential to compete against New Zealand, but still expects the Kiwis to come out on top.
It's difficult to make predictions in cricket, and it depends on how the West Indies play, but just judging on form and background, we haven't won a test series in New Zealand for 22 years. So I would have to go for New Zealand winning the series. But I would hope that West Indies could at least draw the series or win it. But I believe the records will show that New Zealand have all the advantages.
Davis says the New Zealand bowling department is a strong one, with emphasis being placed on 2 players who have been quite effective.
I think the opening bowler, Trent Bolt, left arm over the wicket. He swings the ball very late. He could be very deadly. We always struggle with the swinging ball, our batsmen. And then we have the left arm spinner, Santner. I think he's a good bowler that would give us some trouble. He's also a fairly good batsman.
Quality batsmen are needed to deal with the bowlers, and while Davis may not have confidence in each and every one of them, there are a couple of players in the Windies team whom he trusts.
I know that Braffett is a bit of a stickler, the top of the order. I love Shea Hope. He's a batsman of class. He has shown that, and he's self-confident. I wish all the other batsmen could be like that. I'm very disappointed in Blackwood. He doesn't look to have the right mentality.
The opening test starts Friday in Wellington, with Game 2 taking place from December 9th in Hamilton.
West Indies' latest baton recruit Sunil Ambrose has been praised for the way he has transformed his game in order to make the rise to the international level. Assistant coach Roddy Eswick says he saw Ambrose at the under-19 level and when he toured Australia with the West Indies in 2012, and he had carried his good form forward and improved.
Seen Sunil at the under-19 level. He obviously toured Australia with the West Indies in 2012, where I was coach. So I know Sunil quite well. What he's done, he's made adjustment to his game. He doesn't hit the ball much in the air at all. He knows where to find a single. He's quite organised, and he's carried a good form forward.
Last weekend's 100 helped Ambrose press his case for a spot in the starting 11 in the first test against the Black Caps bowling off December 1 in Wellington. But Eswick said aside from Ambrose's form, what had impressed him even more was the player's attitude to improvement.
He batted well in the one game he played in England, and he went to the A team and he got two centuries as well. So he's brought that confidence, he's brought that form in. But what I admired most about him yesterday, when the fast bowlers wanted to have a workout before, during the first day, Suna was the first to put his pads on, and he said to me, I am batting the 5 best fast bowlers in the region. And the 5 fast bowlers had about an hour and a half bowling at him, and he was able to bat them, and he took that knot straight out into the middle, and you could see the benefits from it.
Now to developments in the sport of rugby. Jamaica's male and female ruggers have qualified for the Central American and Caribbean Games in Colombia. They claimed the tournament title over the weekend after a close-fought 28-24 win over Guyana in the finals. The CAC Games are scheduled for April. Jermaine Brown of TVJ Sport has that story.
It's regarded as a minor sport, but Jamaica's rugby union teams continue to make major strides in becoming regular podium finishers. The largely UK-based men's team didn't start the brightest at the Rugby Americas North tournament in Mexico at the weekend, losing to Guyana 12-9 in their opening match. But that was the catalyst that sprung the team into action. Wins over the Dominican Republic, Mexico and Bermuda in their following matches meant the team would meet the Guyanese in the final. And this time they didn't disappoint, coming out 28-24 winners.
Overwhelming feeling, but as I said before I left, we were coming back with the trophy and we did it. And now we're moving forward to the World Cup.
Physiotherapist Omar Davis wasn't on the field, but surely played his part, a role that would prove crucial to the country's success.
For the captain yesterday, after the semi-final, where he twisted his ankle, he called me up and said, brother, I'm not sure how it's going to go. So I said, come over, I iced him, rubbed him down, taped his ankle, locked it in and out so that he couldn't roll over. He said that he didn't think that he was going to start, but when the coach called on him in the second half, he went out and he did his bit. And with 30 seconds to go, Jamaica was down by 3 points. The captain got the ball a little bit outside of the 22, and he ran over 70 meters untouched and scored the winning try so that Jamaica could qualify for all them future competitions that is to come.
The women's team.
And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
There was a boy that was running in for a touchdown. Zach evidently got him right as he was crossing the goal line. There was, a timeout on the field, and I really didn't see it happen. And then I heard my son's name. Hey, everyone take a knee. Zach's hurt. Zach's down. And so, of course, you get concerned.
Again, the major developments of this day: Trinidad and Tobago Customs and Immigration officials on the lookout for a businesswoman who escaped from prison while awaiting trial on more than 100 fraud charges. And in sport, former Windies batsman Brian Davis doesn't believe the Caribbean side will be able to break its 22-year losing streak against New Zealand when the test tour starts later this week. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, log on to CarnaNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and do have yourselves a good night.